What's up, everybody? It is so good to see you today. This month, we are having a lot of fun as we find out what it means to make peace. Peace is proving you care more about each other than winning an argument. That means even if we don't always agree on everything, we have to come together and find a way to reconnect. We can try to understand one another's perspective and point of view instead of only seeing things our way. God designed us to work together. God made us to live in peace. And Paul, the apostle, wrote about that in a letter to the Colossians. And he said, "Let the peace that Christ gives rule in your hearts. As parts of one body, you were appointed to live in peace and be thankful." Okay, it seems like that should be pretty simple for us to do, right? Just live in peace and get along. But it is not that easy. People disagree. We see things differently. We get annoyed and frustrated. We get on each other's nerves. And if we're not careful, we stop listening to each other at all. So what do? How do we do what Paul was saying and live in peace like parts of one body? Maybe it would help us understand if I cook one of my favorite recipes. It's called peace pasta. If we're honest, you and I are kind of like these uncooked noodles. We're dry and crunchy. We're not willing to bend. We refuse to change. We want things our way or else. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you have brothers or sisters. But it even happens sometimes with our parents and our teachers and our friends. We often disagree with each other, we argue, sometimes we just kind of snap. Our relationships with others can bend and bend and bend until they break. But God didn't make us to stay like that. God created us to live in peace. So how do we do that when we so easily disagree? Well, let's look at our pasta, and maybe that will give us a clue. If we want to cook pasta, if we want these noodles to turn perfectly soft and delicious, then we need to add something to it. And what do we need to add? That's right, really hot water. If we want to make peace, there's something that we need to add too. After all, it's tough for us to have peace if we are just trying to do things on our own. But when we put our trust in Jesus, that changes the way we see everything in our lives. Remember, that's what Paul wrote in his letter. Let the peace that Christ gives rule in your hearts. It's like there was a gap between us and God because of sin, which is the wrong stuff that we do. And God sent his only son, Jesus, to earth. And Jesus made things right between us and God when he died on the cross and was resurrected on the third day. When we trust in Jesus, he reconnects us to God. It's like he builds a bridge so that we're no longer separated from God. Because of what Jesus did, we can have peace with God. But God didn't just create us to have peace with him. He also created us to have peace with each other. So you and I have a choice to make. We can choose to stop focusing only on what we want, and instead we can remember what Jesus did for us. We can choose to stop being so dry and crunchy we can allow God to soften our hearts. Our relationship with God can change so that we want to make peace with others. And then we can work together the way that God planned for us. Choosing peace is not easy. That's because if we want to truly make peace with others, we often have to give up something ourselves. But it helps when we stop and think about what Jesus did for us. Jesus gave up his life so that we could have peace with God. And the peace that we have from him will make us want to make peace with others. So when you get a taste of peace, you'll want more. God made us to work together with other people. So remember, we can make peace with others.